Mr. Smith, this is yours on Noah Mayfield's the sentencing. Good morning, sir. You're Noah Mayfield?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Mayfield, you were previously in court and entered a plea of guilty to the second-degree felony offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I've received the pre-sentence report. Has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
I have, Judge. Yes, Judge.
Are there any additions or corrections or explanations? Mr. Lewis?
Yes, Judge. I spoke with my client about the conversation he had with the PSI writer, and he told me from talking with him that there was some miscommunication when he was speaking with her about his version of events of how everything happens. Because I think, like he says, he doesn't own a gun, but whether he had one at the time or.
I mean, the allegation's very clear.
Yes, ma'am.
The allegations is you had a gun, you showed it, you pointed it, didn't pull the trigger. Either you did or you didn't have that gun and do that.
Yes, ma'am. What the miscommunication was, I said they never found a gun on me, and I guess she.
So just trying to play with semantics isn't going to do well on
Yes,
probation, okay? You're getting a probation after a crazy amount of criminal history, albeit very old. It's a lot. Are you on parole still from the last one?
It was a 40-year sentence, Judge.
Right. I'm not good at math, but I feel like I can do that much. So what's the status of parole? Is there a hold?
No, ma'am.
There's no hold
There's
on
not. Have you had a hearing?
Yes, ma'am. She pretty much, she said, well, you had mishap, of course, my dirty UA, but she said, of course, that she happened to do with it because I've been doing it. I've been parole 14 years.
Right.
But I've checked the computer, my parole has been lifted.
Okay. So you went to ISF because of parole in last year in 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that before or after this allegation?
That was before. No, that was after. I caught my dirty UA. That was March. I didn't get locked up to June. The crime was before.
The crime was in March.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to ISF in June.
Yes, I supposed to got out in October.
Did you successfully complete that program?
Yes, ma'am. I had to come back for this detainer.
Right, okay. But they let you go even with this detainer to ISF?
Yes, ma'am. They didn't even know I had a detainer until I got there.
Okay. You still okay with it, Mr. Smith?
I believe so, Judge.
I'm
And
wondering why there wasn't a felon in possession of a firearm case
I
filed.
checked it, I wasn't filed.
I mean, you can obviously tell, Mr. Mayfield, that I'm not loving all of this. Your criminal history, the fact that you were on parole, the fact that you had a gun while you were a felon, for some reason that didn't get filed. That's not my lane. I can't tell why that didn't happen. You're trying to kind of play around with your words on whether or not you did this or not. If I follow this agreement and place you on probation, I just want to make sure you understand it will be absolutely zero tolerance. There couldn't be a more zero tolerance than what you're going to be on. There will not be an I slipped up. There won't be I didn't have a ride. There won't be anything. Zero. Or you will be back in here and I will have up to 20 years in prison to send you. Do you understand? And there's no reason for me not to do that if you're back in here, if you get this opportunity. So they didn't find the firearm. That's probably why they didn't do it. Because you were smart enough to hide it. What is this? This is... Okay. No jail issues. No. All right, Mr. Mayfield, I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. I'm going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, I'm going to follow the agreement, defer all proceedings, place you on probation for 10 years. You're ordered to pay a $1,000 fine and to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. Again, you'll be on the high, medium risk caseload, and it will be absolutely zero tolerance. So you get out, you do everything you're supposed to, you understand what's happening today and how good of an opportunity this is. The other side of that, though, is if you violate a single condition of your probation. I want probation, it doesn't matter what it is, in my opinion, administrative or otherwise. I want it filed, and you will be right back in here, and you'll be looking to go to prison for anywhere between 2 years and up to 20 years in prison. Do you understand? All right. I'm handing you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement that I filed, and so you've waived your right to appeal. Hope you take advantage of this opportunity, because if I take a look back at this and see that I did this today, I'm going to wonder why. Take advantage of this. All right. You go back with the bailiff. Hold on one second. Good morning, sir. Are you Joseph Todd Gilbo?
Yes, ma'am.
And will your client waive the formal reading of the indictment?
He will, Your Honor.
Mr. Gilbo, in cause number 25, DCCR 0268, you're charged with the third-degree felony offense of impersonating a public servant from January 10th of 2025. And how do you plead to that charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you did what they charged you with? I have here on the computer some documents that have your signature on them that the state has marked as exhibit number 1. Before you signed these, did you go over them with Mr. Rojas?
Yes, ma'am. I did.
Do you fully understand them?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand, if I follow the agreement that you've made with the district attorney, that you'll be waiving or giving up any right to appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
And it looks like the agreement that you've reached is for a 4-year deferred probation, a $500 fine, and you would be required to follow all of the rules and conditions of probation. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Hang on one second. I just thought of something else. All right, and you also understand, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that a plea of guilty or no contest may result in your deportation, exclusion from admission to the country, or denial of naturalization under federal law.
Yes, ma'am.
State tenders number 1.
No objection.
It's admitted. Is there any evidence that Mr. Gilbo is not competent?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily, find that you're mentally competent and understand the nature and the consequences of your plea. And let me go back. It looks like the agreement that you've made is for a 4-year deferred probation and a $500 fine. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, I'm going to reset your case so that the probation department can do a pre-sentence report. That'll give me more information about you and your case, and then we'll come back later for sentencing. Mr. Hoffpower, what's the state's position with regard to a bond based on the nature of that plea agreement?
We're in the court's okay with this. He doesn't have any felony issues yet.
So, Mr. Gilbo, what I'm going to do based on the nature of your plea agreement is reduce your bond in your case to $1,000, but I'm going to make that a personal bond. So that means you don't have to pay any money. You're just going to get released from custody. But there's several things that are very important about that. The first is that the very first thing you do when you're released is go to the probation department so they can start that report. If you don't show up where you're supposed to show up when you get released, then that's a violation of your bond. You'll be right back in custody, and I might not accept this plea agreement. Things could be much worse. The second thing is if you are arrested for anything between now and the time that you come back for sentencing, you run the risk of me not accepting the plea agreement. Do you understand? Obviously, you need to be here on that court date as well. You understand that? All right, probation's going to give you some paperwork today before you leave, so you'll know where to go, the address, and all of that information, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll see you back at sentencing. You can go back with the bailiff.
Yes, ma'am.